Hi everyone, it's Karen Jean from Ex Libris Crafts and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. What I'm going to show you here is a short little, I wouldn't even call it a tutorial. It's a workaround that I've discovered. As they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get organized here. What I have here, as you can see, is something that looks like honeycomb. I am working on a Winnie the Pooh journal, and I wanted some honeycombs to make some ephemera and things. I don't have a honeycomb stencil, and if I did have a stencil, it would just give me the combs themselves. It wouldn't give me the outlines of them. And what I realized the other day when I was in the kitchen cleaning is I have this silicone pot holder with a honeycomb pattern. I think I got it at Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know where I got it. And I thought, let me see if I can get this to work. As you can see, I trimmed off the edge a bit because it had like that solid edge around it. And so this was my first attempt at this, and hopefully you can see this. It's just a little piece. Using inks, and I used a watercolor pen here to try to, have the darker all in one spot, so like the honey is darker at the bottom or something. And I did use some embossing powder on this, but I didn't use any embossing glue, so the embossing powder went straight onto the brown ink. Yeah, so that was my first attempt, and it does, because I used the watercolor pen, it gives you a bit of a watercolor feel to it. Then my second attempt was this here in the journal. This I used a paintbrush because I stamped this out on, and it becomes it's like a 6x6 or 7x7, I don't know, piece. And here I did use the embossing glue, so what am I trying to say? These outlines are a bit raised. You can feel it, and I don't know if you can see it or not. So what I'm going to do here, and then so this was my third attempt, and for this I used a foam brush. And that one you could see some of the brush marks. You don't see any of the brush marks in here because it was with a foam brush. And I don't know if you can tell or not, because I did this using one of these stamping things. The honeycomb and the ink and the glue are not exactly lined up, because this is large, and this is how I figured out how to do it. And that doesn't bother me so much. And that's the back of it, because I did use, the brush was rather wet, and that doesn't bother me either because it dries and it's going to be cut up. So what I thought I would do here is just take you through how I've done it. So for the background, the honey itself, I'm using Distress Oxide Spice Marmalade, which I think is a very nice color there, and it's also because what I had on hand. Now you don't want to use a Distress Oxide for the outlines because they're oxide, so they activate in water, and if I used an oxide here, it would be just a big mess. So I'm using the VersaFine Claire, the pine cone. Actually, for this one I used something different. Long story, I won't get into it. So I went out and I bought this, and let's see if this will go any better. So I'm just going to tap it down all over. I used the Ranger Archival ink on that one over there, but it's this 4-pack. I didn't have an individual, and as you can see, my hands, I made a big mess because I only wanted one color. I didn't want it all 4. So let's try this one and see how that works. And this is a pigment ink, so it should not, I should not have a problem with it when I start coloring. So I'm going to place that there. Now this is one of those We Are Memory Keeper Precision Press Advanced. I bought this at a thrift store for a few dollars because it's not something I normally use. I've been watching a lot of videos of people who make cards, card maker videos, and I like a lot of the techniques they use, and so I wanted to see, I already got it on my finger, wanted to see if I can incorporate it into some of the journals that I make. And I thought that the Winnie the Pooh journal is the perfect one to give that a go. Now I'm doing a voiceover to speed this process along. The ink is down. Now I'm cleaning off the pad, and I'll be putting the glue on there and then pressing it down again so that I could put the embossing powder on it, which I do here, clear embossing powder, just to give that brown ink a little bit of a oomph. Also, it creates a little bit of a ridge, so it helps when I then go and do the water painting with it. And that's done. I'm putting the oxide on an acrylic block. It just makes it easier for me. I'm starting off with the water pen, but I quickly go to the foam brush because it's a big area, and the foam brush makes it go much quicker. So just covering that up, going back to the pen to put in some highlights and dimension and fill in some empty spots and stuff like that. And then I'll be drying it with the heat gun again. This is an example of we're only limited by our own imaginations, and so certainly let yours run wild by all means. And there we have that done. And now I'm going to go back to that original piece that I had there, and I'm going to cover it with glossy accents so that that piece then has some dimension and some shine to it too. Thanks for stopping by.